Welcome on in, everybody. Tobin here with you, and thanks for checking out the channel, you rascals, as today, a little thing called business picked up a wee bit in NBA land. And I'm not talking about Chris Paul being unceremoniously let go by the LA Clippers, which seemed like a real rat bastard move. I got to be honest with you. I was like, geez, all right, it was... but I knew after that loss, and when I saw the news, I immediately was like, well, Chris Paul probably. It was like ruffling feathers about everybody being unprofessional, because that's what Chris Paul is going to do. Chris Paul is annoying. There's no doubt about that. How annoying is he? He got Jimmy Butler to care more than I've ever seen Jimmy Butler care in a game before Christmas, when he was torturing him throughout a Spurs Heat preseason game. Yeah, Chris Paul's a notorious pain in the ass. An all-time player, a great leader, but hard on his teammates, a la Kobe Bryant was, Michael Jordan. And when you don't got the goods anymore, you could put people in the wrong kind of mood with that stuff. So it's unfortunate. The Heat seemingly putting the death knell in a Clippers team that they already poached Norman Powell from. And, yeah, that's something. Anyway, that's not really even the news, everybody. Chris Paul had like a fleeting moment of like 3 seconds with this Clippers drama. And then Brian Windhorst went on ESPN Cleveland to do his hit. And then he basically revealed there today, hey, Giannis has already asked for a trade from the Milwaukee Bucks. He wanted to be traded to the Knicks. And then basically it got snuffed out. Like the Bucks already made their moves. They did the Miles Turner deal. Obviously, you're not going to do that with some form of, hey, we're going to sign this center. We're going to waive Damian Lillard. And this is all in the scope of we're bringing you back. So Brian Windhorst dropped that today, and then Shams Charania, who's basically been sitting on the Giannis bomb, it feels like, for, I guess, since he went on Pat McAfee in the finals and said this is going to be the most craziest summer ever, and we got a summer of Kuminga. We basically got him saying that Giannis and his agent, Alex Saratzis, who is Bam Adebayo's agent, just so we know, I know people who watch this channel. And by the way, shout out to all the people on the recaps, by the way, sending me all the people who are listening to this channel or watching this channel a lot. You guys are awesome. I can't thank you enough. That's really, really cool. So I've gotten like a bunch of those screenshots today. I don't know when that just started, but I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for that. But back to this. For those who have watched the channel, you guys know Bam Adebayo, Alex Saratzis. They are he is the agent for Bam Adebayo and for Giannis Antetokounmpo. So Shams came out today with a tweet, but here's his full story on ESPN. It says Giannis Antetokounmpo and his agent Alex Saratzis are having conversations with the Milwaukee Bucks about the NBA MVP's future and discussing whether it's his best fit to stay or move elsewhere, sources told ESPN on Wednesday. A resolution in these talks are expected to be in the coming weeks, sources said, which will result in shaping whether Antetokounmpo will be available ahead of the February 5th trade deadline. Antetokounmpo came into the season having bought into the championship vision of John Horst, the general manager, and coach Doc Rivers before the season started. Sources said Antetokounmpo would examine the Bucks' first 25 or so games this season and make decisions on his long-term future, depending whether the team showed signs of competing in the Eastern Conference. The Bucks are 9-13. They've lost 8 of their last 9 and are 11th in the Eastern Conference. And several sources have characterized the losing as frustrating for Antetokounmpo and the team's front office coaches and rest of the players. But one source with direct knowledge says on the situation, it is described as, quote, the writing is on the wall for an inevitable outcome for Antetokounmpo unless there is a dramatic turn of events in the Bucks this season. Over the offseason, Antetokounmpo explored external options and was open to playing for one team outside of Milwaukee, the New York Knicks, as a potential trade home. Sources described it as an exclusive negotiating window for the Knicks over a multi-week period in August, but it was never the case moving forward. Multiple other teams would be expected to emerge as suitors when trades are explored. Okay. So I don't know if you guys have been following the Bucks. We know the Heat beat them recently, and that was, I believe, the last game before Giannis returned. He returned to play the New York Knicks. They won. They beat. They lost to the New York, and then they lost over the weekend to the Washington Wizards with Giannis. Kuzma was terrible. Not a great game for Miles Turner, and of course Chris Middleton, his famed running mate from the title team, was on the team that beat him on the Washington Wizards. All-time rock bottom for them, and this situation. And then there was the whole thing this week of Giannis scrubbing his social media of Bucks tweets, Bucks pictures on Instagram, and so that's never a great sign when you hit the archive button on all of your pics and whatnot. So it very much seems like, as much as this story has been teased, and we've talked about Giannis, I don't know, you could probably look up Giannis on my channel. I don't know ad nauseum how many videos I've done on Giannis Antetokounmpo trades. Probably, 24 of them. I would venture to guess I've probably done. And it's just never happened. To the Bucks' credit, they've really pushed back on all of the buzzards flying around. They got Drew Holiday. They made a move that really set the Heat down a bad path, and in getting Damian Lillard. And so now they're at the point they've waived Damian Lillard. They still went and tried to make a big move in getting Miles Turner from their biggest rival, at least from a trash-talking perspective, in the Indiana Pacers. And now we're here. It hasn't worked out. Giannis was a little banged up, but they're not a very good team. And it feels over. They even signed his brother this year. They pulled out all the stops to try and make this guy happy. Feels a little reminiscent of the Heat going and getting Shabazz Napier for LeBron James, even though LeBron wasn't coming back. But the Heat still showed that, hey, come on, LeBron, please. Look at it. Because the Heat didn't have a first-round pick. They went and got Shabazz Napier. But neither here nor there. This is not a LeBron story. This is a Giannis story. So it basically feels like it's inevitable. It feels like Giannis Antetokounmpo's time with the Milwaukee Bucks is very much on the clock. Now, will it get to the point where he's traded this season? I don't know. I mean, look, if this is coming out here in the middle of December and we're hitting that mark where everybody kind of has a feel for where they're at, I could see somebody making a move in this case. Like, if you're a Toronto and you want to be in the likes of, taking on a Detroit, if you are the New York Knicks and Giannis still wants to be there, and the Knicks are good, but maybe aren't exactly where they thought they would finally put it away, maybe. Cavs, I don't think can really make a move. If you're the Hawks and you have the Trae Young drama and you're ready to move on, yeah, I feel if you're maybe even the Bulls and you think that there's some mechanism, like there's going to be a ton of teams in the East. Then you look on the Western Conference side of things. I mean, the Thunder could literally do whatever they want. I don't even know if does this even please them to entertain something like this. The Rockets, the Spurs, any one of those squads that you can think. Now, here's the thing. Where we'll get Miami involved. So the big case of this is for Miami, and I've always said this with the agent tie, is the Heat are gonna have intel on whether, and should have intel on whether or not Giannis wants to be a part of the Miami Heat because of the Saratsas connection, right? Like, they're gonna either know, hey, does he want to be here because it's Bam's agent, and would Bam, basically how the big three came together with the CAA thing. Would Bam, be part of a trade? Obviously not. Obviously his agent's not going to flip somewhere where Bam, the Heat captain, is going to end up in Milwaukee. Saratsas probably wouldn't even put the Heat on the list to make that part. He'd rather keep his client happy. You're the Heat's guy. You're going to get super maxes. You're going to get all the types of riches. So if the Heat are in play for Giannis, we're one of the preferred teams down here, the Heat are going to know, right? Or know that they're at least in the wheelhouse. Now, it also comes down to the Bucks and how much are they going to play in the game of we're going to send Giannis where he wants to go. Like, that always becomes a big part of this as well. It seemed like in the summer, they played ball with that, because if Giannis wanted to only go to the Knicks and be on a team that was the Eastern Conference or near Eastern Conference champion, then it's possible that if they were trying to abide by that, but they looked at it and said, do we really want Karl-Anthony Towns? They don't have any picks. They used them all on Mikal Bridges, right? And so they would basically have to make these trades to flip for assets. The one thing that has changed from the summer that maybe would open Giannis's eyes a little bit to coming to Miami is like, look, the one thing that we know, awesome city aside, New York, obviously a big market. He's talked about Florida cities make him happy. Being on one of the coasts, he's talked about the Lakers. He's talked about all this stuff, right? He's romanced about it. He even talked about this when they were having training camp down here. Remember, like they were doing preseason, and Giannis, did they work out at FIU or something like that? And he was romanticizing about the idea of moving somewhere else, right? The one thing that has changed from the Heat's perspective that would maybe open Giannis's eyes again is, look, the Heat look like a damn good team. And so Giannis could look at this and be like, oh, I could join Norman Powell, Andrew Wiggins, Bam Adebayo, and if Tyler Hero is here, Davion Mitchell, I could join these guys and kind of be that like that dude on this team that seems to have like super good players around me, a fulfilled roster again, and do damage. So I think that the one thing that has changed from maybe this was just a Knicks scope is that the Knicks really look like the only team in the East that Giannis could go to in one way, shape, or form that looked like a real title contender. Now, the Heat, amongst the Hawks, amongst the Raptors, amongst the Pistons, even though I don't know if that's a team that makes a move for him or not, amongst all those teams, there's a lot more viable options, it seems like, in the East than there was in the summer when maybe he only wanted to go to the Knicks. Now, maybe he only wants to go to the Knicks. I'm spitballing here and saying, like, well, look, if Giannis is going to leave, he's going to want to leave for a place he can actually win the title, all right, and have the ability to make a run with the team. And so that, I think, the Heat have very much improved their stock. Last year, you know, with the way it ended and even going into the summer, the Heat probably were dead in all Giannis pursuits. I do think it has changed a little bit through these first 21 games, going into 22 tonight. No Norm Powell tonight against the Dallas Mavericks. I do think that the Heat have changed their place in the equation on all of this as far as, like, would they be an attractive destination? Well, if he has the opportunity to play with Bam, Norm, Wiggins, Davion Mitchell, and probably Norm or Tyler, based upon wherever that goes. And again, it would depend on what do the Bucks want. So here's what you basically would have to give up, right? For the Heat standpoint, they don't have like the grand bevy of picks to give up. And they have 2 at the moment. I believe they could get 3 if they lift protections on the Charlotte pick, which we'll get to here in a second. And then you're talking your pool of young guys of Kalel, Nico, who's obviously not done a lot for his trade value this season, Jaime, who has, and then potentially Kasparas Yakachonis, just throwing in another young guy. I imagine if you're the Bucks, you want it all. You know, you want to go in, you want to go for the gusto, you want to get everything that there is to get. And so that's what you're talking about here. And it's a win now move. It's Spoelstra, Pat Riley, looking at this 2-time MVP, who, by the way, was playing incredible to start the season. His team's just not very good, and then him getting hurt really kind of derailed them. And now it kind of just feels like this team just feels like it's got a little bit of rot to it. Is that enough to get it done, as opposed to, you know, any of the young guards? If San Antonio got into it, whatever treasure chest of picks that OKC could do, it feels like it's a viable thing for a Knicks deal. If it's, there's a couple of mechanisms you could do also, like Wiggins, Fontecchio with Nico, Ware, and Jaime, and then the picks. You could do Tyler Hero with Nico, Ware, Jaime, Kasparas. you could do, mechanisms like that. And then, they got to say, hey, well, do we want to pay Tyler Hero a ton of money? Giannis is gone. Maybe they do. Hometown boy comes and does good. Do they just want to go all youth? And then you got also this 7-footer who's going to start for you. And it does feel very much like he's got, really special skills. He's the hardest one, I think, to part with in all of this for right now. The way that, he's shown some of the ability that he's shown, like he seems like feels like very much like the Heat's gem. And he also feels like, this was brought up, I saw this on Heat Twitter coming on before recording here, but yeah, Windhorst made the point on, I think it was Rich Eisen this summer, about, well, why was Pat Riley so conservative going after KD? Why would the Heat be conservative going after AD, Ja, Zion, all these guys? And the one deal that they made was this Norm Powell deal. They really didn't give up anything. So, yeah, I think the Heat are going to, obviously the Heat have wanted to go after him for a while, and they would like to pair Bam and Giannis. And then even if they're going to keep one of their high-scoring guards, whether that be Tyler, whether that be Norm. Now, I feel like Tyler, for a young team, I feel like that's more attractive to the Bucks. But maybe the Heat feel like, no, if we have Giannis, Bam, Tyler, like that's our core, and we keep Wiggins and we have Davion Mitchell there, like that's our team. And they feel pretty strongly about it. I guess the question is, like, are these young guys good enough? I think Jaime's 6th man of the year, possibly this year. Khalil looks like a future alien center. I'd be terrified to see what he's going to do against the Heat in a couple of years if he was in this deal. Nico, I think the world of him. But and I think that, by the way, I should be mentioning, when I did this trade machine, I guess his deal is a little different because he has a rookie extension. His salary is a little bit different, so I guess it affects this a little bit more. The Heat would also, I only have them basically trading 5 guys for Giannis, so they would have to get up to their roster in what's the word? They would have to get their roster up to the standard 14 that you would need for it. I don't know how all that works. I'm just kind of spitballing here. I don't know how all the perfections of it work. Andy Ellisberg, that's your job. So, is a Heat of basically either Tyler and 4 young guys, or Wiggins and 3 young guys, or Norm and 3 young guys, is that enough with the picks to get it done? It would probably also have to be like, how much push can they get from Giannis, or is this a satisfactory place from Giannis? The one thing I will say, I'm going to be a little bit of a homer here when I say this. The one thing I would like to say, Adam Silver, okay, whatever ratfinkery was going on with this gambling scandal that you didn't, I'm going to tell you something right now. You sent the number 1 overall pick to Dallas, and they got Cooper Flag for the whole Luka thing because your precious Luka ended up in L.A. All right, you got your L.A. star. You don't need it. The Knicks are good. They don't need it. The Miami Heat, you screwed them over with this entire Terry Rozier ordeal, okay? There should be lawsuits. There should be alarm bells all over the place for how much this stinks on what you did. The first time you stuck your beak in it was because you didn't like, or the league didn't like, how Damian Lillard's agent was like demanding that he goes to the Miami Heat, only one team, and you had the audacity to basically nuke any Heat trade because people got in their feelings about it, okay? You've already made a dumb CBA because the Heat got LeBron James and everybody got in their feelings about that. I'm telling you right now, Adam Silver, if you don't want any trouble from this Terry Rozier ordeal and you're not going to give the Heat back their pick for the Terry Rozier ordeal, a couple things. One, you could either give the compensatory pick so that he can sweeten the pot for a Giannis deal, or you make this Giannis deal happen to Miami and we forget about the whole Terry Rozier thing that had ever happened, because inevitably you allowing the Bucks to swoop in and get Damian Lillard because he had the audacity to want to go to Miami after Portland was going to tank. You stepping in and saying, no, you guys can't talk about this stuff publicly, no, and allowing Joe Cronin to basically use Woj as his puppet to spin narrative. That inevitably led to the Heat having to go get Terry Rozier because they needed some kind of scoring burst because Kyle Lowry was averaging like 3 points a game. And that is tied in with you covering up that Terry Rozier was under investigation from the feds and your league for gambling improprieties. So, how can we make this all good? Well, I'm glad you asked, Adam. You could tell everybody else to back the hell off, all right? And you could tell Giannis Antetokounmpo, be like, listen, dude, grab your suntan lotion, grab your sunglasses. You're going down to 601 Biscayne Boulevard. That's where we're going to play this puppy, okay? Don't need you in New York. Don't need you in L.A. Don't want you in Texas. Hope you and all of the Antetokounmpos enjoy themselves. And listen, when we need to fill up that roster, we need to fill it up with Giannis Antetokounmpo, Thanasis Antetokounmpo, all of the Antetokounmpos. Come on down. Just like we did when Goran Dragic was here. We had Goran, we had Zoran. We'll make it a whole brotherly love event. That's how it could go. That's my pitch. Okay, if we don't want any trouble from this Terry Rozier thing, and you know what you did, okay? You know what you did. Give me back my pick. You know what you did. But I'll let it go. I'll let it slide if we can get the Heat in on this the ground floor of this Giannis thing. Giannis, his preferred destination happens to be Miami. Do with that what you will, Adam. Try it on for size. Walk it around the store a little bit. See if you like it. See if you like how it feels on your feet. And you let me know about that. But you know what you did, okay? Not doing whale sounds today. I'm not going to do the... I know that's what everybody wants. They want me to sharpen the harpoons. I do realize the Heat are up against it a little bit because, Atlanta has that damn Pelicans pick. They got... you got maybe some of the talent in Toronto or some of the picks. The picks in OKC is ridiculous. The talent or that they could send over in the San Antonio trade. Maybe you think that's a little bit pertinent. Look, this is not a nothing deal. If the and would the Heat do it? Look, I think the world of Khalil Ware. I also think the world of Jovic, dude. Okay, I don't want this to happen. I'm just talking about Pat Riley and Eric Spoelstra, okay? Does Eric Spoelstra seem like he wants to continue nurturing along 22-year-olds when he's got Norman Powell, the most professional scorer he's had in a long time? He's got Tyler Hero in the peak. He's got Andrew Wiggins humming. He's got this dog in Davion Mitchell, and he's got Bam Adebayo. These are serious people, okay? Does he want to keep doing this with nurturing young guys? I don't know. I can't say that he's against it. He definitely comes into this year seemingly lighter, embracing it more. Does Pat Riley? Pat Riley's 80, dude. I think if Pat Riley can get Giannis Antetokounmpo, he's going to move whatever pieces can get moved outside of Bam to get Giannis Antetokounmpo. Will it be enough? Don't know. That's why Adam Silver needs to be blackmailed into something like this. Or at least guilt-tripped. Blackmail would be strong, but guilt-tripped.